Welcome to UK Basic Training. Also, it's US Basic Training. Wherever you're tuning in from today, certainly appreciate your presence here. It's so good to have you. This is a class where we discuss the basics of the quantum infinity, and you can ask any question about the quantum infinity that's on your mind. We'll try to answer it. We want to improve your use of the app, your understanding of the functionality of the app. How does it work? What does it do? What are these functions? It's my job to introduce you to those different things that you can do with the quantum infinity. The truth is that the quantum infinity has an amazing ability to be utilized. There are so many things that you can do with your quantum infinity. It's just that not everybody knows about all of them. They're not instantly obvious, but it is an immensely dynamic tool worth many times over the price of the app. So what questions do you have today? Welcome, everyone. Welcome to today's training. It's a pleasure to have you on board. Welcome, Betty Lou. Joanne, what a pleasure to have you here. Vondette, a very lovely, lovely welcome to you. Carol, hello, hello, hello. It's so great to have everyone here. I do want to let you know that I do have an upcoming class, so let's just talk about those. For a moment, and then as I'm talking, you are more than welcome to type your questions about the quantum infinity into your chat box, into your question box. I'm here to take your questions, to answer your questions. This is your time. This is a way that I give back to the community every week, and it's my great pleasure to answer your questions. So a couple of things about me. This is Dr. Ariel Policano. I'm a real live naturopathic doctor. I actually do in-person and Skype consultations. I have been practicing since 2002. And I feel like intersecting with the quantum infinity was an amazing good fortune for me, because I had been wanting for a very long time an energetic tool to use with my patients. But these energetic tools are often cumbersome. They take a lot of time to sort through the information, and sometimes it's hard to really get exactly what you want. With the quantum infinity, you can make it so customized to who you are, and it's so spot on. You know, this platform is very humble. It's really resonant. It really reveals to you the truth. It can be a great tool for self-exploration, or for me, it instantly, boom, I'm able to dive deeply into all of the things that are going on for my client that before it took weeks and weeks and weeks to really sort out. And here they are instantly presented, as many parameters as I want to investigate, as many parameters as I know how to investigate. And that is what I really teach in my advanced classes. And that is a big part of what I do these days, is create these advanced classes and teach them to you in conjunction with the quantum infinity. So let me say a few things about that. And first of all, when you go to my website, awakentotalhealth.com, and you go to the menu that says Quantum Infinity Free Basic Training, you will find all of the trainings that we've done previously. So go here and you can while away an awesome afternoon looking at some of the previous basic trainings that we've done. And I've highlighted the function or the questions that we reviewed on that day so that you can select the training that you like. So enjoy that. That'll be great fun. And then if you are done with that, or you're new to the quantum infinity, please go to my free video training menu, where you can, I'm going to be uploading some new videos very soon to this menu. And they're going to be going through some individual panels of the quantum infinity. I think you'll find them interesting. Here we have a summary of everything in the quantum infinity, a 20-minute intro video, how to import customized categories, how to create customized categories, and how to use the upgrades that we got in one of the last upgrades, the MEP function and the recheck function. Then, if you're feeling like you've ever used the quantum infinity, but you wanted more physical parameters to work with, how do I find out more about the adrenals? How do I find out more about the immune system? Those items that are on the risks panel, what if I could investigate them further and understand them better? Those are the things that I teach in my advanced classes. The advanced classes are all about my expertise in natural medicine, making it perfectly understandable for you no matter what level of training or background you have in nutrition. Completely can walk in and understand those things. And then I teach them in conjunction with strategies for your quantum infinity. So welcome everyone who's just joining us. What a pleasure to have you. What a great group that we're accumulating here, working up to. So do type your questions into the chat box. It's my real pleasure to be with you today. So I want to tell you about one of those classes that's coming up next week. It starts on, let me get the dates right. There are 2 sections. They have the same class in both of the sections, and they happen live starting next Monday at 5 o'clock Pacific or on Tuesdays at 6 o'clock UK time, which is also 9 o'clock Pacific time in the US. This is a really exciting class. I would like to be able to sort of, share this with as many people as possible. It's called Test Yourself and Gain Your Health. Have you ever gone to the doctor and gotten your lab work for the year, right? Your physical checkup, and you say, I wonder what all of those numbers meant. I wonder what all of those labs were. And the doctor gives you one piece of paper and says, oh, everything's fine. You don't need to know what those numbers are. You're obviously not very smart. You probably don't want to know what those numbers mean, but it's good. It's all good. So we're going to go way beyond that. I'm going to teach you what doctors know. I'm going to teach you about labs. I'm going to teach you how to understand what they are, what they mean, what the real, true, optimal values that you want to shoot for, how often you should get your labs done. And I'm even going to teach you how to do them yourself. You're not going to draw your own blood, but you can go online, you can order these tests, and then you go to a local draw station, you present your payment receipt, and they say, okay, let's go ahead, let's do your labs. They send the labs right to you, and you will be able to take out that piece of paper, look at it, and review it during our class. And so this is an amazing ability for you to gain an understanding of your own health. Whatever you can track and monitor, you now have the power to improve. So we're also going to be talking about genetics, and I'm going to be giving you a chance to test your DNA with a company called 23andMe. And then we're going to look at your different genetic changes. These are called genomics. Nutritional genomics is one of the fastest growing parts of medicine today. And so you'll have a chance to look at what are called your SNPs, your SNPs. And is it possible that you don't absorb vitamin D as well as other people? Is it possible that you don't make brain chemicals like serotonin as well as the next person? Well, these tests will tell you that. It's the biggest, most cutting edge part of natural medicine today, and you can be right in there. What people have said to me, you take my advanced classes, they say to me, you know what? You told us about this way before I ever saw this on the news or I ever learned about it or I saw it in the newspaper. You're just so far ahead of what these issues that are being talked about. And that's what these classes are about, to give you self-empowerment on the cutting edge, because you, my friend, are a pioneer who is living on the cutting edge of energetic medicine. And so you probably have an interest in these things. Well, I'm going to send you a link here if you want to register for this, or you can always contact me, Ariel at awakentotalhealth.com, where I will be happy to answer any of your questions about these courses. So jump right in. Do join us for that, and I'll be happy to see you in the class. And I do have one more class to tell you about. I'm going to tell you about that about halfway through our class today. All right, I hope you can join us for that. I'm really excited. The research I'm doing in preparation for the class is so cool. All right, so back to us, and let's see. Joanne, a good welcome to you. When doing a building or area distance balancing, what do you put in? The name, the date, identifying characteristics, voice, and picture. Thank you. Yeah, this is so cool. Area distance balancing, do you put in a name, date, identifying characteristics? Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways that you can go about this, which is really exciting. So we can even do a couple of fun things here. Let's see. I have my address. This is my physical address here in Portland, Oregon. And what I did here is I actually already have it in my database. So I have the address, and then I have the city and state and the zip code, and I put in the approximate date that the house was built was about 1960. And identifying characteristics here for the last demonstration, I just put in home. All right, so I just put in home, or I could do home clearing. You could put, funky energy or whatever it is that you want to do there. Those are all fine for identifying characteristics. For spectral analysis, you could actually speak. You could be a surrogate on behalf of the house. You could just record it that way, or you could do no recording. Okay, so the vibration of my voice, I'm with intention. This is representing the energy of the house that I'm living in. That actually is perfectly fine, and your vibration will be that. But you can do that for a pet. You can do that for someone who can't talk. You can do that for a child. You can be a surrogate voice that way. Then the client image, you would absolutely take a picture of the house. We lost the reflector. Let's see if we can get that back. The reflector is this. By the way, if you ever want to do long distance sessions, you may want to know about the reflector that I use for our broadcasts. And what you're seeing is actually on my iPad itself. We'll bring that back in a second. And I use the AirPlay function on my device along with a $13 app called a reflector. And if you just look online if you Google reflector app, it has a really weird name to it. It's like called squirrels or something like that. And then I can take a picture. So if I analyze the client image, it's just going to be this weird shot of the side of my living room, but that's perfectly fine. So I'll just do a quick home office deal here. Got my geos over there. So we get the idea. I could also take a picture of the outside of the house. But whatever. So the outside of the house obviously would be ideal, great vibration of the house itself. And then we could go in here and, you could definitely use something for the energy. That would be a good one. Something like high and clear vibration or clear energy or resonant energy or supportive energy. So then you can do all kinds of clearing on the house. You can then run it. This is just like you're running your own client. Your house is your client. So, wow, we're not really looking very good in the risks area. So this is a house, I think, that does have some issues in terms of some dampness and some mold. But we're going to look at that actually in a second, and that's going to be really fun. So what you can do to clear the house is you can create a customized panel for clearing, energizing, and amping up the energy of your house. And you can use any of the frequencies for the place that you're living. So another thing that's really great that you can do is you can use the coherent frequencies that are in the Da Vinci panel. Coherent frequencies would be like the solfeggio tones, which are of a very high vibration. And so by using the solfeggio tones and running them to clear the energy of the house, that's going to be really profound. That's going to be really amp up the energy of your home. And when the energy of your home is clear, You clear the energy, you bring up the energy. We're going to choose those top 3 solfeggio tones, and now we're going to run them. We could have run them in the balance tray as well. And I just want to add a couple more things because 157 is pretty good. 682 is a score that's pretty good. And I always wait until I get that visual that I really like, that nice, juicy visual algorithm. And when I see that, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's not in the instruction manual. But when I see that, I know I have a nice soup of frequencies. So this is a lovely basket of frequencies to run for your home to clear your energy. And you'll notice when you do this on a regular basis that your home feels different, that you feel better in your house. There's a more of a flow of energy. You'd be surprised, prosperity, flow, creativity start to come from you as well, because where you're living is very important to your state of being. So clearing it on a regular basis, just like you want to clear yourself on a regular basis, run the quantum infinity, your home needs clearing and hygiene as well in the same way. It just needs physical cleaning. It also can use and benefit from energetic clearing. Okay, so a few more things I just want to show you, and then I know you guys have more questions. I'm excited to look at some of these clarifications you might have on this process, things you want to know. But let me show you one thing we did in the advanced class that was really fun, and you guys can do something like this yourself. Let's see what we've got. What I did was I created a panel called Home Quality, and it's actually, so it's called Home Check. And in the Home Check category, what I did here was I checked for dry rot, gutter leakage, lack of insulation, mold, termites. What other things would you guys want to check for in your own home? What are some other parameters that you might check for? I can think of asbestos. What are some other things? And then we can just put these in as hololinguistic frequencies. I'm always concerned about dampness. That's a big thing on my personal radar, is looking for dampness and mold as far as health is concerned. And one thing we could do is do pour ley lines. That's the, it's correcting me. The ley lines are those energetic fields that the house is built on. You know, sometimes you go to a place and maybe a city and you think, oh my gosh, there's some really bad energy here, and sometimes it's just the ley lines. So, but you could clear that. What else do you guys think of when you think of things to clear for the house? Let's look if you have any suggestions. Yeah, geopathic stress is kind of the same as ley lines, but let's say it differently. That's what I was trying to think of. Cynthia, thank you so much, and welcome to you. Very good idea. Other ideas about things that could be things that you'd want to know about in your home. You know, a whole other side business to this is you could have yourself as either a volunteer or a paid person to help people when they're looking for houses. How cool would it be to run the quantum infinity on a house that someone's looking at to see if there's an underlying issue that you could ferret out or even clear for them? So does it have good feng shui, negative energy? Well, those are kind of I don't know, that's really sort of vague, but let's add it anyway. Negative energy could have so many weird connotations to it, and I don't know if we want to expand on negative energy. I think we want to say this differently, but let's leave it in here, and let's think of a different way to say that, because I you know, negative energy, that term, we'll just stick with it for a second, but I think we could craft that better. Good feng shui. Well, good feng shui is something, I think we want to say it like this, is sort of like, and this is very loosey-goosey, we're just playing with this, needs feng shui adjustment. Because if something has good or bad feng shui, you're sort of left with it. You can't do anything about it. But if you could adjust it, if you could energetically clear it, that's the thing that you want to look for, is the opportunity to be able to create dynamic change. And that's how you want to craft. You know, crafting your customized categories is a whole art unto itself. EMF stress, that's certainly something, Cynthia, that, boy, I look for that all the time. Let's just abbreviate it. I even was out this morning and I was thinking about a house I was living in previously to this, and there was a big electrical box, one of those ones that are up on the power line, and it was in front of my neighbor's house, in front of the kids, the little baby's bedroom. And I was thinking it was such a blessing that they ended up moving to another house. I'm thinking about power lines and EMF stressors all the time. So you and I are on the same frequency, I think. This is a really important thing to look for. How about, this is another one, is carbon monoxide. That can come from your heater, your heating exposure. And of course, these are not be-all, end-all issues. I mean, these are things that, you maybe want to test out physically. This isn't a perfect test, but these are just ideas, things that tend to go wrong in the house: leaks, dry rot, termites. Anything else that you guys want to add to this? And then we'll do a test of the space. Oh, radon. That's a good one, Betty Lou. Yeah, that, radon exists very naturally in basements all over the country, and especially in Portland, although it's more in North Portland and the upper sort of towards Washington. But yes, this is a very serious issue in the Portland area, and it exists silently, odorlessly, usually in people's basements, and that's a real health risk factor. Okay, so I think that's there. We could go into a lot of things that are within the house, which is what Claire, welcome. Claire is recommending, but I think we want to do things that the nature of the house itself. So let's roll with this as an example, because I know you guys have other things that you want to do. So if you have any other ideas, you can definitely send them to me. So this will be testing my property here. And let's see let's see what it says, and I'll give you some feedback based on what I know. This is a rental, so this isn't actually a house that I own, so I don't know everything about the house. Needs feng shui. Well, that was a good one. Whoever had recommended that, was a good. I do need to feng shui this place better. I can feel that. So let me talk about the results. Geopathic stress. So there's something about the area, the way the land that the house was built on. There's geopathic stress here. There's gutter leakage, and I can attest this is one of the biggest problems that the person who owns it won't rectify. Gutter leakage, needs feng shui, negative energy. And now that, hopefully I'm bringing positive energy, but this could be, the owner's vibration in the house. This could be if you had a bad day or you got angry. This could just be the nature of the house. The house has a consciousness as well. But everything that you can identify, you can often affect in some way. That's why the quantum infinity is powerful. So if you know that there's sort of a negative vibe, then we can clear it. So, and chanting, playing Om in your house, or chanting music, any type of spiritual music, any type of sacred sound music, chanting yourself, singing positive songs, all these things change and shape the vibration of a place. So maybe we just need to have some more really positive tunes playing here. Poor ley lines. Now, it's interesting that poor ley lines didn't get the same score as geopathic stress. So they are obviously slightly different. Oh, wow, look at that. It says that there's radon here. I may need to get one of those radon test kits. And that's surprising because there's no basement here. So isn't that interesting? And then water penetration is sort of mild. And I'm not surprised to see this, because I've been thinking a lot about mold, but I'm not seeing the mold frequency come up today. So then anything that's out of balance, we can then we can't fix the gutters this way, but we can somehow shift the energy. You never know if you shift the energy with gutter leakage, if all of a sudden the landlord calls you and says, you know what, I was thinking about having those gutters fixed. So everything is shapeable in some form, even though everybody still has free will. So understand that these are powerful energetic changes that you're making. You, as a person, affect everything around you. And so as you shift the vibration of your home, you actually shift the vibration of your whole block, of the area around you. So it's a really very positive thing to do. You're really doing a lot of service by doing it. And to go back to Joanne's original question, you can then put the name of your city and clear your whole city. Go ahead and put the name of your block and clear the block. I mean, you're going to be the most popular kid on the block. Everybody's going to flock to you because there's such positive energy emanating from you, and you can, in a very real way, extend that positive energy out through doing these clearings on your app. So like I said, started off the lecture today, like there's so many amazing things beyond the at first blush. There's so much depth to this app and so many different ways that you can take it. Okay, so Margaret had some really interesting input. She said other things you could add to this panel would be dense energy, a hoarder mentality, confused mindset of the owners. I missed how you entered the home check part. We'll go back to that. And really good ideas, you guys. So hopefully, well, let's export this panel. If you want the panel that we kind of put together ourselves, we added some things to it collectively. If you want the panel, please email me, Ariel@awakentotalhealth.com, and you can get this panel called Home Check, and you can do your own check, or you can create the panel yourself, whichever you want to do, Ariel@awakentotalhealth.com. And if you have another suggestion for the panel, then send that over as well. So let's go back to Betty Lou's question and let's look at that. So she said, let's go to the home. We're going to lose this. That's okay. So this is what I did is you put in your address here, however, the postal code, and you could even put in your country if you want to. The quantum infinity is very forgiving. If you put something in some order that represents an address, it need not have a very specific structure to it. We're entering the quantum field. As long as you're describing it with words and the words approximate the energy of that particular location, of that locale, it's going to reach it. It's going to be programmed into the quantum infinity. There are lots of different things you can do for date of birth, but one of the most logical ways to go about date of birth is the approximate date the home was built. You're not going to know the day that you could also do the day that you purchased the house or the day that you moved into the house, because in a way that's a birth of your vibration and your relationship to the house. In some ways that is the birth date of the house because it's the birth date of your consciousness of the house. So there's lots of different ways that you can do it, but they'll all really work. If you did it two different ways, the day you moved in versus the day the house was built, it would be pretty much the same pattern. Like I said, this is a really forgiving technology. And then the identifying characteristics would be the home clearing, or something going on with the house. Funny smell, weird feeling, whatever it is, something that is about the house, the nature of that brought you into the desire to clear it. Or you can just do home clearing, analyze the client image, you go outside, take a picture of your house. That's going to give you the vibration of the house. Spectral voice analysis, you can leave it without any voice at all. You don't have to add in voice, but at the same time, what you can do is you can also speak as a surrogate. So when you record your voice, you record it like this. I'm speaking on behalf of the consciousness and vibration of 1060 Northwest 107th Avenue, my house in Portland, that type of thing. All of that I just said is absolutely enough to get a good vibrational capture. You're channeling the vibration and speaking on behalf. That's called a surrogate, and it would be perfectly fine if you did that. Sorry, we lose the reflector for a second. It would be perfectly fine if you did that for a child, a dog, a frog, whatever you want to do that can't speak on its own behalf. You can record it as a surrogate, or you can actually just leave it blank and allow the picture to act on behalf. So if you're doing a cat, cats don't usually talk, so you can be a surrogate for them, and using their picture is powerful as well. Okay, so let's see what some of your other questions are. Could you repeat the voice vibration you put in for the building, or type it in, please? anything you say, Joanne, I think I probably just did it as you had asked the question. Anything that you do from this vantage point, anything you say will be powerful. Anything that you say from this vantage point will be powerful. So it really will work, even if you just said the address. Just say the address, but say your intention that the main ingredient is saying that you're acting as a surrogate. I'm acting as a surrogate for the energy and vibrational expression for my house. It'll all work. It'll all work. Okay, let's go back. I think you had a few other questions. Let's just see what those are. When doing a building or area distance balancing, what do you put in the name, date, or identifying characteristics? We did that. Fantastic. And that was Joanne, by the way. Thank you so much for coming to our class today with a really awesome question that's going to benefit everybody who's watching today. So great question. And what is the difference between, another good question, Joanne. What is the difference between the Solaton wave and the harmonic wave in effective balancing? Also, what is the better intensity for balancing a building and a person using 10x, 25x, or 50x? Okay, so I have some nuanced answers for you. This, again, really fantastic. Okay, so let's talk about, first of all, where do you find Solaton and harmonic? So in order to go to the Solaton or harmonic, you may not even have known that this existed. You have to go to this little gear shift here on the top right. And when you tap on this button, it gives you some different things to choose here, some different settings. So the first setting is, do you want the modern splash to play in the beginning, right? That's where you go in, and it's a moving entry point where it sort of flows down. You've got the wispy smoke going on. Some people don't like that. So you can actually turn that off. So I think now I actually have it turned off. I can't remember. It seems to me that it's actually turned off at this point. And then the scan volume, if you turn this down, you can actually play other music, and then you will not hear the tones of the quantum infinity. You need not hear the tones of the quantum infinity in order to receive the balancing energy. You don't even need to see the algorithm. You can just receive the energy. You can be hooked up by the geos. You can even not see it, not hear it, put it in the living room, be doing something in the kitchen, and you're still getting the energy of the quantum infinity. That's why you can run it overnight. If you want to run it overnight, you can do that as well. You leave it on 0, and it will run as long as it has power. So you can do that as well. You don't need to be hooked up to the equipment to have it be effective. Let's talk about Solaton now versus harmonic. Solaton is basically the default. So if you've never known that these existed before, they're in here, and Solaton just runs automatically. It would be what's been running in the background. The Solaton wave is sort of like going into here, and let's choose something that makes sense. I don't know, like toxicity and stress, I guess, makes sense for the house. Okay, so what happens is when you want to choose a lot of things to balance, let's just say you're going to put them in your multi-layer just for our demonstration here. So let's pick cell phone EMF and some chemtrails, clearing the RFI, which is like a radio frequency. It's sort of like your Wi-Fi, like your internet, your Wi-Fi internet, not your connected internet. And anyway, let's just pick those 3. So when I put those frequencies in there, I just pop them in. And when I run it on the default on a Solaton wave, it's just taking all of those frequencies, and it's like putting them in a basket. So you just put all the frequencies in the basket, and you just run them together. You let them play together as they will. That's totally fine. The Solaton wave is a very clear energy that's powerful, and it does the job. On the other hand, the harmonic wave, if we go back to the gear shift and we go in here, the harmonic wave creates a mathematical relationship of the frequencies to each other, so that they are really relating to each other. So it creates a more integrative wave, a more, some people call it a holistic wave. And people who are clairvoyant or clairsentient, people who are able to feel the vibration coming out of the quantum infinity, will experience this in 2 different ways. the harmonic wave to them they'll feel it more in their entire body. It will feel softer. It's even been described as a more feminine wave. So it really depends on the person's nature. What I find is that the Solaton wave is really like for the person who maybe doesn't get energy work done on a regular basis, or has never heard of this, or even thinks it's a little weird that you could do this kind of work. So the Solaton wave is sort of more in their, more their vibration. And then the harmonic wave is great for, for someone like yourself, probably a very energetic, intuitive person who really, does meditation or balancing or Reiki, is going to be more in line, more in tune with the harmonic wave. So those are some ideas. They will both be very, very effective. It's more of a nuance, but some people do find that they feel a big breakthrough with the harmonic wave. So play with it. You guys are researchers making new discoveries. The most important things that you can do is write things down, remember them, make note of them, experience it for yourself. How did I feel when I ran this type of wave? How did I feel when I ran that type of wave? Maybe what you notice is you run harmonic waves one day. The next day you wake up, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't remember feeling this good. What is it that I did yesterday that was different? And maybe it was running the harmonic wave. Okay, so then let's talk about the X10, X25, and X50. So if you have someone who is in a very stage 4 cancer, or they've just been in an accident, or they just are in a very deep acute grief, shock, then X50 would be an appropriate thing to run for them. It does amp up the output of the frequencies. So when you really need to push through an issue very quickly, you can choose up to X50 or somewhere in between. X25 and X10, it's really up to your own personal judgment about how much they really need to increase those frequencies. The thing is about homeopathic and energetic medicine is it's somewhat almost what we could call counterintuitive, and that is the idea of homeopathy in general, that less is more. The less energy that you have in there, the less physical substance, the more powerful the energy is. So in other words, you don't really need I found over time you don't really need X10, X25, and X50 except in those cases that I've just described, an acute emergency, someone who's very, very sick, seems like they're not going to make it, or they're in a very deep state of chronic health and they need to be pushed out of that state quickly. But in a way, the default is perfectly fine. The energy is the energy. It's very, very powerful in and of itself. In general, when someone is hooked up to the geos, it's not a good idea to run X50. That's really sort of way too overpowering for a person when they're directly connected to the geos. There is a difference, a perceptible difference when you are connected to the geos versus when you get it long distance. Even though they're both powerful, it's been my experience and experience of clients that they often can feel those frequencies coming out of the geos. So it's often not necessary and not recommended to do more than X25 when the person is connected. Okay, let's see if you have any other questions based on that particular thing there. Does it go back to the default when you log out? That's such a good question, Betty Lou. You know what? I don't think that it does go back to the default, because I've been running mine on harmonic wave for weeks and weeks and weeks. And when I just went back in here, it's still set to harmonic wave. So I don't think it goes back to the default until you reset it to the default. It might be that let's check this. I think the X25, this you do have to reset to sort of juxtapose them against each other. Let's run X25 for a moment. And then let's pop back out here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear the cache. And the way that I do that is I clear the memory for my next client. I double click on the navigation button down here. And then I basically push my finger down right here and I lift it up and it clears the memory. So when I go back in, that client won't be there. I'm just going to get a blank screen. Oh, I do have the You do have that thing is off. Okay, so that's the off position that I have it set on. Looks like it's set on, but it's actually the off position for that little wispy smoke that comes out, the modern splash as it's called. So when I basically go there, go here, go inside, skip all this. Now when I go here, let's see what it's remained on harmonic wave, but it's actually gone back to the default intensity of 0. So there you go, Betty Lou, you got it now. One thing will go back and totally clear the intensity, but the harmonic versus the Solaton, that will stay on the last selection even after you clear the memory. Okay. When I balanced overnight, I couldn't sleep. I used 25x harmonic. Okay, that is a very good, I would never use a raised intensity for sleep time unless the person had just been in an accident or they were in the hospital or something like that. So very, very good nuances here. Boy, I love, this is just such a really, really great session here, you guys. So let me make some comments on what Joanne is saying here. When I balanced myself overnight, I couldn't sleep. I used 25x harmonic. A lot of the, I know I talk about balancing overnight a lot. This is really great when somebody, again, is working through an intense issue, when they're acutely ill. There's a great story from Di, who's over in the UK, who does a lot of work over in the UK, where she was driving past a farm and there was a little sheep that was injured. And it looked like it wasn't going to make it. And what she did is she brought it to the attention of the farmer, got it attention so that it could be properly, wrapped up and so forth and put in a safe place. And then she ran the energy of the quantum infinity all night, all day and then overnight for that animal. And then as soon as she stopped running it, she just stopped running it. She called the farmer, because she lives on the Isle of Wight and everybody's sort of in close proximity, called him, and he said, it's the funniest thing. Right before you called, that little sheep just sort of stood up out of it was just sleeping the whole time. And right before you called, just sort of stood up, and it was totally fine. And so it's just an example of how she ran that energy all night, and it was really, really powerful. But for those of us who are energetic practitioners, we're so susceptible, we're so receptive to the energy. So one thing I haven't really talked about too much on our sessions is that it absolutely is possible to overdo this. Now, it's not harmful. It's not like it's going to make you sick, but it might make you detox. So for those of us who are energetic practitioners, if we run the energy overnight when we're just really trying to optimize our health or trying to work through a minor issue or even something that's somewhat chronic, we may disrupt our sleep. That's just too much energy. I'll tell you what I've really found over almost 2 years of using the app with myself and with clients is that between 20 and 30 minutes a day is completely sufficient, even if you do that 3 or 4 times a week. So it doesn't take a long time. You're water. You're made of water. You guys know this particular, that other app that is that you may have gotten as a bonus. That Harmonic, that water harmonizer app. So the instant that you imbue water with that energy, that you're imprinted with the water, it's actually done. So we would feel very silly if we were working with clients and it's like we hit the multi-layer for a second and it's like, okay, well, you're done. But the instant that you imprint the water with the energy, it's done. So it doesn't take that long to make a big difference, to really make a profound impression. Like the water harmonizer here, it just runs for 3 minutes and it's a full cycle of changing that crystalline energy of the water. Well, 3 minutes, you could be doing the same thing with your quantum infinity. So we tend to think in this 3-dimensional reality. It takes a long time. We have to be heavy-handed about it. But we need not run a session overnight except in the instances that I've talked about. And in fact, for those of us who are quite intuitive and energetically sensitive, it may indeed keep us up. And what is that? What's that message telling us? That we don't actually need that energy to be run overnight. We could easily do it in 20 to 30 minutes during the day. So a clever, well-constructed session, or even just a random session of things, of energies that we're drawn to, can make a tremendous difference. So good stuff today. My goodness. Okay, so Carla, you've got a bunch of questions here about the recheck function. No worries. Let's do a quick example for you to show you what the recheck function can do. So let's do that right now and show you. Try to think of a practical example. Pardon me for one second. Okay, let's just go into the risks category, and we still have the house up here. So I don't know how the house, really going to interpret the energy of the house, but these could all have more abstract interpretations. Let's just assume it's a client for the moment, and we'll just take it from there. Let me just do something different. Let's just clear this out, and let's just do the AAA client. I think that's just going to make more sense. When we tend to do the AAA client, I'm not going to take everybody's voice today, but we often do the group consciousness just because we're running short on time. Let's just do our AAA here, and this is going to tend to pick up sort of our collective energy in the class. And let's do our risks. I'm going to show you the recheck function. We have about 10 more minutes, so go ahead and pile on with your questions right now. If you have any questions, you have 11 minutes today to get them answered. So if you have a burning question that you've been waiting until the end to get an answer to, be sure to let me know. And again, Victoria, how nice to have you with us. Margaret, so nice. And Lloyd. Janet, well, what a surprise. How lovely to have you with us today. Really nice to have you on board today. So good to have all people participating in the basic training. I always appreciate your presence. Remember, if you want the home check category, email me, Ariel at awakentotalhealth.com. We can get that home check category. Any categories, customized categories I give away during class is my way of saying thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this training. It's great to have your presence and your energy here on Wednesdays as we go through our basic questions to improve our basic understanding of the quantum infinity. Okay, so as we go into our risk category, we're looking at the recheck function. So let's get an initial scan here. The recheck function is a great ability. It's sort of like the cross analysis in a way, but what it does is it's a way for us to see what therapeutic, what affirmation, what intervention would be good for this person. We can put anything we want in the recheck function. We could even put actions. We could put in the recheck function box, we could put leave an unhealthy relationship, or we could put an affirmation. I am filled with positive energy and manifesting perfection in my life, whatever it is. But you could put in a remedy. You could put in a food. Anything can go in that recheck function, and the whole linguistic programming will pick up the energy. So it's a really great investigational tool when you're trying to figure out how to help someone, what energetically will work for their energy field. We have thousands of scientific studies, and scientific studies there's a certain level to which they're great because they have a hypothesis and they use a scientific structural way to investigate the result. On the other hand, what we know about the limitation of all of this nutritional information and studies, which we see all day long on blogs and websites, is what? They're not personalized to that person's biochemistry and where they are in their life and where they are in their health. So this is why it's such an important gift. It's such an important time to have a tool like the quantum infinity. When you ask something about resonance between the quantum infinity vibration, between the vibration of a nutrient or a supplement and your vibration, it's giving you information in real time according to all the different parameters: your health, your age, your biochemistry, your constitution, your current situation. All of these things are instantly integrated. That's an amazing capability. We can't even get a computer at this point to put in all of those individual parameters. But the reason that the app can, seems like I'm saying something that's actually not true because this is a computer, but what it's doing, because the algorithm is going into the quantum field, it's not really quantifying all of those different parameters. It's just saying, how do you resonate with this particular vibration. Okay, so it looks like all of our brains are working overtime. We've got something going on with our brains, maybe a neurotransmitter, or we're just thinking a lot. All of us are collectively really using our brain power right now. And that brings me to our next class. So while I take a moment to get your final questions and answer this question about the recheck function, let me do a little segue into our advanced class on the brain. Because if you are wondering what's going on with that 777, which is the highest number, by the way, on the scale that you can get, the scale on the quantum infinity goes from 0 to 777. And so that is the highest number of the high numbers that you can get. So as you get that brain number, you might be saying, what is going on with the brain? Well, if you said that to yourself, you'll want to check out this upcoming class. And the reason that's why I do these classes is because they're so compatible with the quantum infinity. They really take your ability to ask questions on the quantum infinity and expand that. So in this next class that starts next week, this class actually runs on Tuesdays in the evening and Mondays in the morning. And also it is a Monday evening class for those of you in the UK. In this class, we're going to talk about how to optimize the health of your brain, how to get maximum focus and concentration, how to evaluate all the parameters going on in your brain, like brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or something called eNOS that has to do with nitric oxide synthase, the synthesis of nitric oxide in your brain. And I'm going to be explaining those in very simple terms so that you can evaluate them on the quantum infinity for yourself and for your family. I'm also going to be talking about new breakthroughs in the field of autism, including a connection between autism and parasites. I'm going to be explaining how glutathione can cause a miraculous breakthrough for people with Parkinson's. And I'm going to be talking about the mysterious and elusive brainwave panel and show you more ways to utilize that little brain that's at the bottom of the app, right? That little brainwave. How do you make the most use of this little program, which in and of itself could be a standalone program? So quite a few of you on this call actually have already taken a step to sign up for this class. So let me send you the link here. And the $20 off had actually expired, but let me extend it to those of you who attended the call today. So if you want to take advantage of that, let me know. And you can join us for this class. It's 4 webinars that are recorded and automatically sent to you, so you don't have to be live for the class. And then you get special customized categories in this area that will expand your use of the app and let you ask yourself today, am I in a state with my brain? Am I in a good place with my brain that's going to help me to get into my 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s healthfully? I can keep my good cognitive function. This is one of the best ways to evaluate that and harmonize it. Hope you can join me for that. Let's get back to speaking of the brain. We want to talk about the recheck function. I'll take a little lead from the class, and I'll show you some things that we talk about in the class in this exercise. So degeneration. Now, for those of you who ever use the indigo or the skio, the degeneration frequency was sort of somewhat loosely associated with the development of cancer. But I don't really see it that way. I don't see the interpretation that way. But I do see when we see degeneration of 732, this for someone is a big flashing warning light. And it means some aspect of their health is sort of moving down the line into the potential for a very chronic issue. Not necessarily cancer, but it's saying that some part of the system it's like just like a traffic light. It's like the yellow light is flashing. Before it gets to red, we need to do something about this. So we need to really investigate degeneration further, really to understand. We need to really sort of work this person up more to find out which aspect of them is in degeneration. Now here, it could be the brain, right? It could be their immune system, which has to do with their lymphatics. So let's look at the recheck function. And what we're going to do here is let's take a picture of this. And let's take a picture of the bottom so that we can compare if we don't remember. And we'll take a picture of our results as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to tap on the recheck function. And we'll put recheck. And when we do that, we see a box that comes up right here below. And in that box, you want to use whatever the solution would be. So let's use a really nice remedy that we talk about in the class, the upcoming class, called vinpocetine. Oh, it was coming up automatically. I like that. Vinpocetine. And that is a wonderful tonic for the brain that brings more circulation and is also protective of the brain. So let's just use vinpocetine generally, although we could also put in a brand of vinpocetine and a dose, like 2 capsules per day or 2 capsules twice per day. Let's just try vinpocetine generically. And then we can tap on the left side here. We can put as many boxes as we want to see the changes in the scores, but what we're really looking for, can we scroll down further, is the change in the brain. So sometimes you can just basically focus on the one that you really want to see change in, but we can do all of those. There are still a few glitches in this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hit the scan button, and it's going to ask me, do you have this hooked up by a printer? And we're going to say, no, we're doing this hololinguistically. And it's going to say, if it appears your imprinter is not connected, to start hololinguistics, press OK. We'll do that. And it seems like it's scanning like the other part of the program, but actually the green information that you get is really sort of the final information. It's not going to change. So right away, we can see that the brain has gone from the 700s, 777. Actually, it's dropped by exactly 100 points. And it's dropped 100 points to go to 677. That's a profound change. That means for this person, taking vinpocetine will help that imbalance in their brain. So now we could bring in a brand, and we could bring in a dose to make sure we're getting the proper dose for that person, and we could do another recheck function. Just out of interest here, we can take a picture, and we can take the picture here. Let's talk about a couple of things that are... Now this, I want to say, and you may be noticing this, allows you to be an investigator that can draw new conclusions. And this is a really exciting part about using your quantum infinity. I want you to be more inquisitors. I want you to be more assertive about the conclusions that you come to. What I see here is something so interesting. Did you notice it too? Look at that degeneration frequency. We've brought it under 600, which is profound. It was well over 700. What does that tell us? It tells us that vinpocetine answered that question about why they were in a serious case of degeneration. There was a protective, antioxidant, regenerative quality to the vinpocetine, which is an ancient Ayurvedic herb. It's actually periwinkle. And it not only protected the brain, but it affected their overall health in a profound way. So it allows you to come to new conclusions. It gives you more information. Now you may want to go into and investigate, what is it about vinpocetine? What's in the vinpocetine? And then you say, oh, this makes sense. Vinpocetine actually has this impact on the immune system as well as the brain. Or you may come to a different conclusion, because I can see down here, look at the impact it's had on the lymphatic system. It's brought the lymphatic system, wow, it's made it like really, really in balance. And I think we took a picture of this as well. Let's go to the comparison. Let's go to the videotape here. We'll go into our photos now, and let's start off. We'll sort of switch back and forth with what we started with. You're going to see this on full screen now. And so you can see, let's just quickly go back and forth. We see 777, 732. We go to the vinpocetine, we see 677 and 557. Then we go to the other part of the screen, the lower part, and we see that lymphatic at 767. And when we go down here, we see the lymphatic 418. So absolutely extraordinary, really cool information with that recheck function. So super, super fun stuff, you guys. So Catherine says, but the emotional is higher. So that is true, and you may want to ask yourself why. So just when that happens, it's usually because the vinpocetine is probably doing what? Causing some type of a clearing, right? It could be causing a mild aggravation. Maybe that person's brain function increased, and now there's an emotional release. Now there's an emotional detox. Maybe it's bringing up something they weren't even able to access before. So there's always the issue that it actually can cause aggravation in some areas and healing in other areas. So it's not going to be perfect, but we certainly see the potential. And I mean, that's certainly something you can be more aware of. It may be, I don't know what the heavy metal score was, but it could be actually pushing out some heavy metals as well. It might have maybe that's how it's actually improving brain function, is it is moving heavy metals out of the system. Let's see what that heavy metal score was initially. It was 613. So indeed, it could be moving heavy metals out of the brain, and maybe that's why it's improving function. So you have to keep digging further and not at first blush think, oh, this is making things worse, but maybe it's sort of peeling the onion and it's taking a person to a deeper level. So many different ways to think about this. Okay, well, we're at the end of our time. We're actually past our time. So do email me, Ariel at Awaken Total Health, for any information, including the home check, signing up for one of the classes. It'll be good to welcome you. Those of you who already signed up for the class, really good to have you in those classes, and good to see you every Wednesday. You're absolutely warmly welcome to come any Wednesday and every Wednesday. It is a pleasure to see you here. It's a delight to answer your questions and spend time with you in this wonderful vibrational world of the quantum infinity. I hope you have a lovely, lovely week. You can check out awakentotalhealth.com for the recording of this, which will be posted in the next 24 hours. Wishing you lots and lots of love, much prosperity, and many, many blessings. See you back here next Wednesday. Have a great week, everyone. Take care now and be well.